What's going on, everybody? Welcome to part 17 of our Go language tutorial series. In this tutorial, what we're going to be talking about is combining basically everything we've learned up to this point, adding a little bit more to our HTML template, and getting our first kind of proof of concept of our web application project news aggregator thing. Okay, so up to this point, we've kind of got like these two separate scripts, and I just kind of want to show them both before we and basically what we're going to do is combine them. Okay, so in the previous tutorial, this is the code that we wrote to just kind of exemplify how we do templating in Go, and then previously what we've done is made this aggregator script basically, right, that visits the sitemap of sitemaps, grabs the sitemaps, visits those sitemaps, grabs the titles, the keywords, and the locations of those articles from every sitemap, which is, there's like a bunch of sitemaps, and each sitemap has some values. It's almost about 1,500 articles, basically. So anyway, we're going to combine these two things together now. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, like, inside, like, our program itself is going to be this web app. So I'm going to keep this as the main function, and then basically what we're going to do is kind of combine, we're going to bring the news aggregator over to the Go web app. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to modify the news ag page struct, because basically what it's going to take is we can still pass a title, but news is not going to be a string. News is going to be basically it's going to be a map where the key is a string and the value is going to be a news map value. Also, we're pulling in format net.hp HTML template. We basically need to bring in IO util and the XML conversions. So grab this. And again, if you don't have either of these two scripts, that's totally fine. You can go to the text-based version of this tutorial. Again, this is part 17, and just everything is there that you need. So yeah. So anyway, copy IOUtil, coming over here, pasting that in, and then we're also going to grab the XML encoding. Cool. Okay. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we need the news map struct. We need let's look over here. We're gonna need news. We're gonna need sitemap index and news map. So I think we're just gonna take all three of these. So sitemap, news, and news map. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw this down here. Actually, let's throw it right here. Sitemap, news, news map, news ag page. Cool. Okay, once we've done that, what we're going to go ahead and do is we can take, let's take, basically our entire main function is going to be, we're going to put that in the news ag handler. So rather than, and then basically P will be our news map, basically our news map value, our news, the news variable will be news map. So let's take all the code in the main function basically to here. We don't need to do this part, right? So we're just going to take this block of code here, all of that, copy that, and go over here, and then inside the news ag handler at the top before here, we're just going to paste. This will be tabbed over. Whoops. And now I think that's fine. We're probably screwing something up, but that's okay. Let's do, rather than that, now it's news map. So news is now news map. And let's see, we don't want that error. We don't need that anymore. We don't need to print. I mean, well, we can print the output here. That'll be fine, just in case we do hit some errors. Might as well make them explicit and see them. Okay. I'm gonna, that's gonna be giant if we printed that out. I kind of want to run it before we do our template, but that's okay. Let's just build the template first and get into it. So news ag template, and I'm going to go ahead and we can leave the title there. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to build a table. So the table that I'm going to use is basically like to build a table, you're going to have some table tags. And historically, when I've done things with web development, I've had once in a great while someone that complains that, hey, you never covered what HTML is. If you don't know HTML, there's like a billion HTML tutorials out there. So find one if you want to learn HTML. It's super simple though, it's just tags. Okay, that's not complicated, so you should be able to learn it on your own, no problem. So then T head, so table head, and then you're going to have whatever those columns are. So, and then these would be table headers. So slash table header, and then we're going to say, you know, basically you're going to have the article title, and then we'll have keywords for that article. So title, keywords, and then what we'll do is title will actually link to the article. So that's what's going to go on in the head. Now what we're going to do is in the body, so T body, what we're going to go ahead and do is add some table rows. So TR, and basically here you're going to have two, well, actually let's do this, TR like this, and then you would have table data. Okay, and in this case, table data is your column. So table data, and it would be like a title, and then here would be like a keyword, something like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to save that, and I'm going to try to run this because I'm like skeptical as heck about getting an error. So let's go ahead and go run go.tut.go, and I'll allow it. Yeah. And then it was /ag for the page. It's probably going to take a long time to load that because printed out the whole map. What? I didn't mean to do that. I'm not sure why it printed out that whole map. I'll have to go back and look at that. Oh my gosh. Why did it do that? Why did it print the whole map out? I'm pretty sure we just built a table. We just did title. Why did it do the entire map? Why did it do the entire map? Because we never asked Newsmap to run like that. Do we? No, I mean, that shouldn't have done it. Why? Oh, okay, we didn't change the template. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Okay, so in that case, okay, yeah, it all definitely passed. Cool. So we forgot to change this. So this needs to be news ag template .html. So let's save that, and let me go ahead and rerun that. So anyway, loading this page is going to take a while because it's running all that code, which is something we're going to talk a little bit more about in the coming tutorials. But let me see if we get a table this time. Still going to take a while because it's still going to pull all that information. Cool. Okay, so we have a really basic, you know, title keyword is just a simple table here. Hill is a table. Now what we want to do is populate this table. So whoops. So what I'm going to do is we basically need to iterate over all this data. So what I'm going to do is come into our HTML template here, and basically what we want to do is we want to iterate as many table rows as we have data. So the way that we can do this is just like in Go, we're going to use a range. So we're going to use range, but it's kind of wonky. As far as I can tell, I think this is like custom Go templating. I don't really think they're using something like in Python you use Jinja templating, which is kind of separate from Python, but this I think is with Go. So anyway, if anybody knows if this was like custom made for Go or if this came from somewhere, let me know, because it's weird that you have to switch things around. But anyways, you do. So we're going to still use range, but it works this way. Range, and then you're going to say, okay, key, don't forget your $sign. That's how you're going to specify a variable so that you could use it later. So key, and then value, because that's what's going to be returned, and then colon equals, and then again it would be dot news, because that's a value that was passed here. And then what you would do is, I'm just going to make some space, but you would then, do things, right? And then you have to end the range. At some point you have to end, what are all the things that you're going to do in this range? So then you just do end, okay? So the things that we're going to do are make table rows and stuff, and that's why you have the ability to add logic like this, so that you can throw in both HTML and you can throw in variables. So now we could use we can do like key, right? So that would be like your title will just be key, and then the keyword column, that's going to be your values. So it'll be value. But value had two things, right? Because remember, value is corresponding, right? The news is the news map, which has keys, which are the titles, and then the values were going to be keywords and locations, right? So if we want the keywords, we need to do value dot keyword. And the reason why we're having to do that is, like I said before, it's basically responding, here, keyword. It's a news map struct, because remember, the map is string for keys, and then the value was a news map value and all that. Anyway, so yeah, that's why we use dot keyword here. Okay, now, interestingly enough, like obviously this will be the title, but we kind of want that title to be a link. So now let's convert that to a link. So ahref, and then I'm going to say target equals blank, so it opens a new window if you click on it. And the actual URL is the value dot capital L location. And then we come on the other side here and just close off that tag. It did it for me. Now I'm confused. Cool, I think that's right. Anyway, okay, so now we have all of our table rows in here. And then end, and then let's just kind of clean this up a little bit. Cool. So, so that's a little more complex use case of templating in Go, whereas, to do this, to do like a range and then append that to the Go code, like if you're trying to do that in line in Go, at least the way I'm thinking that I would do it, it would be kind of messy. Whereas this is so much cleaner, and it's just so much more concise. And if you were to read this, I think it's much more legible. Okay, so let's go ahead and break the web server, and then I'm going to go ahead and restart the web server. I'll allow it, and then we'll head to the ag page. And this might take a while for it to run. So it's got to parse all those sitemaps. Cool. And now we have the entire table, which is massive. It's just absolutely massive. But as you can see, you've got your keywords over here, and then you've got the titles here. And then if you were to click on that title, it would take you to the Washington Post, where you could read articles with their paywall. Interesting paywall. I'm going to wager that's really easily defeated. See if we can't get the first... I'm trying to get the first few lines of... Anyway, I'm going to wager if we were to view the source here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were just looking at it. I'm pretty sure that is the article text. I wish I could see it. Some have begun to realize, but I can't see the main article text. Anyway, that's not this tutorial. I'm going to wager it's all there, though. Anyway, so now we have this table. Obviously, this is a gigantic table. It's got so much freaking information in it and all that. But nonetheless, finally, a proof of concept. Now, what I'm going to show, basically, again, just kind of like the last tutorial, the bulk of the learning is now over. I'm going to clean up this table, though. So anybody who wants to stick around and see a better way to quickly and easily make a nicer table, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, like I said, we're done. You can leave. So, so to make this table a little better and also to make our web app much more functional, we can incorporate something called data tables. Let me just pull that up real quick. Data tables. You don't actually have to come here. You don't have to visit this, but this is what we're going to be using. And basically, all it is just like a nice JavaScript plugin for tables that basically end up looking like this. So yeah, there's a little bit of hover. You can also do searches, so like accountant or something like that. And it's just like instant search because all the data is there, obviously. It's no different than doing like Control F right now on our table. Sorry, I just banged the mic. Anyway, yeah. So, and then you can sort and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool, and it's super cheap to just throw it on top of your tables. So that's what I'm going to do here. If you want, all the code is in this tutorial as well, so you don't really need to, like type along with me here. So I'm just going to run through it really, really quick. So, so the first thing that all we really need to do, first of all, we need to bring in the scripts that are going to make this this data tables thing possible. And basically what we need is jQuery itself. Then we need the data tables CSS, and then we need the data tables JavaScript. All these things you can get, either you can host them locally yourself, or you can just use them from like a CDN somewhere. So I'm just going to use the CDN version. Again, if you go to the text-based version of this tutorial, you can copy and paste the same stuff I'm about to copy and paste here. Bang. Okay, so again, yeah, we're pulling in jQuery. Then we're pulling in the data table CSS, and then we're pulling in the data tables JavaScript. That's it. And then at the end of our, at the bottom of our little code here, I'm going to throw in a really simple script. Basically, all it's going to do here is anything with the ID of fancy table is we're going to apply data table to it. In this case, hopefully you're going to do this to a table. Right? So we need to now give our table the ID of fancy table. So table here, and then basically we're just going to say ID equals fancy table. And then there are a few other things that we need to specify, or we can specify. The one thing I'm going to go ahead and do is just say class for this table. There's a bunch of different ones, but again, class corresponds to the CSS, just for you HTML newbies. Anyway, class will be display. So there's different types, and again, you can go to datatables.net to learn more about what's available to you. Just showing you a quick example. So class display, I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now, let's rerun our web app. Hopefully we didn't make any mistakes. Mostly just did copy and paste, so I'm assuming that's not going to be a problem. Cool. Do I have this open anywhere? Okay. I have an old version of it. Anyway, I'll just bring that over. Hey. Oh, there it goes. It took a while. It took a second to format it. Interesting. Anyway, so here is our data table. And unfortunately, because there are 10 entries, but I can't quite fit it on my screen. I wonder if I just zoomed out. Yeah, cool. So anyway, as you can see, here's our data table, and it's just basically you can see here it's 1,500 entries, all that. You can sort by title if you really wanted to. You could also sort by keywords, but that would probably be a mistake. But you can also search. So for example, I'm pretty sure Trump is president, so I bet if we type Trump, we're going to find a bunch of stuff on Trump. And it's like I said, it's instant. So yeah, 250 entries on Trump. Then of course, just as usual, you could click them and go to the actual article where it's probably going to paywall me.
All eyes are on
no,
president.
It's not. Okay. Anyway, didn't throw me an ad either. I guess it was probably my ad blocker. Anyway, all right. That is enough for now. What we need to do now is really talk about the time of this page. So load time 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 seconds. Okay, that's 5,000 milliseconds. That's horrible. So we need to work on this load speed. Now, obviously, there's a couple of things we could do. One thing we could do is just cache it, right? And then it would load pretty quick. But the real problem that we're having right now is occurring, here, right here. because basically what it's doing is, and really it's right here. The we're doing this totally linearly, where first we go to this sitemap and we're getting all these sitemaps, but then we're running to one sitemap, getting that information, waiting for that response, coming back, going to the next one, asking for a response, waiting for one, getting it, coming back, right? So that is not very fast. So what we need to do is figure out how we can get around that waste of time. Now, no matter what, you're going to be having to deal with at least 1x of a Washington Post response time. But there might be ways that we can do this a little quicker. So that's what we're going to start looking into in the coming tutorials, is how we can get Go to go fast, because that's the whole point, right? So anyways, that's what we're going to be focusing on in the coming tutorials. If you have questions, comments, concerns, whatever, up to this point, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next tutorial.